try and drag it all the way to late game.
They certainly have been able to do that.
Maybe try and beat H2k there, because I feel like H2k as a team is stronger in the early and mid stages.
We'll see what they do this time around. H2k, well, they're targeting out Freeze quite heavily with the Draven Callista band off the board. The Wolves, in the start of this one, they go for the Rek'Sai and the Ahri ban. Leaves just one apiece to these teams as they let the timer tick down a little further.
Double 80 carry ban. Poor Freeze, really getting all the focus here. He's the 80 carry who receives the most bans in the LCS. And obviously the Cassiopeia against Soren. So very, very target bans from H2k on their side. 2 junglers as well, so we won't get to see the Rek'Sai in Italy as a first pick in this case. I mean, there's still a lot of picks open. You can go for the likes of Alessandro if you want the top lane pick. Odoamne, we have seen him play it before. I do prefer him on tanks though, like Maokai and Gnar.
We'll see what they do take, but I mean, this is what every team has been doing against the Wolves, whether or not they've been successful in the actual game itself. But Draven, Callista, and Cassiopeia, the 3 most banned champions. Caston's up there, but with his changes in 5.4, we're less likely to see that anytime soon.
Exactly.
So H2k, you know, they're going the way that everyone else has.
Yeah, the thing is though, when you do ban like Callista Draven, it's not like Freeze is running out of champions to play, because he just locks in like a Graves, which is already considered one of the best AD carries in Europe. So you just kind of remove him from his comfort picks, we can say, and onto a champion we have seen multiple times. But yeah, with the bans here, not like a clear-cut first pick, and that's why we see H2k choose and support.
They go for the Annie. I think that's probably, if you're going to first pick a support, that's a fairly strong one.
Yeah,
It gives you a chance to bully quite a lot in lane, especially up to level 6. And it doesn't show off too much of your strategy, but again, they have left the Graves open. Question is, do the Wolves want to take that now?
Well.
Lissandra's available. Looks like it's going to go over to Youngbuck.
It's honestly been the best top laner for Youngbuck when he plays Lissandra, especially because him and Airwax together have had very good synergy in the early game, and Lissandra is so good at setting up ganks with that, with their crazy amount of CC. Airwax can still go for a Jarvan, even though it's been nerfed. It's his most played champion. Jarvan and Lissandra together, that's the point and click. Okay, who do you want to kill here? Double ultis to lock them down. That could be the tactic for Copenhagen later. I was about to say, he did play this last year. He played Yorick Jungle last year.
A little nod to that, perhaps.
It didn't work for him, and instead, the Jarvan, as we talked about. So, Copenhagen Wolves, very standard for them. You get the best top laner for your top lane. You get their most, or the best jungler for your jungler. They can be very happy with this start, because they're not really losing anything by Annie being taken away. Unlimited has showed us plenty of games on Leona. We know he can play Thresh, Braum. I mean, there's so many picks for him still. Even Morgana could be an option. So I feel like Copenhagen Wolves, with the first rotation, is looking fine for them.
Yeah, snagged a couple of power picks for themselves, but H2k, they've got to have something up their sleeves here, else they wouldn't have gone for that Annie first pick. They are taking their time about this. You can see the communication there, probably the rest of the team talking it out, what they want to go for. Remember, this is a team on a massive win streak. They've got a lot of hype, but they've got
do this all the time.
A big chip on their shoulders too.
Yeah, that's very true. But Odoamne will always get a Maokai if he feels like there's a decent matchup for it. Maokai into Lissandra is more than fine for him, especially once he gets a Catalyst and he can survive some of the poke coming in. Then he can really start diving onto Lissandra and out-trade her, and also, of course, set up ganks. So we have 2 top laners here. If they get some jungle help, we can get quite some explosive 2-on-2 fights with a lot of CC involved. And obviously Yana with that Sivir has been banned a few times against him, but really been also the main pick for him, where he's so good at getting a lane advantage, fast push a tower, and then rotate to mid lane or top lane, and keep pushing in with this Sivir here.
Yeah, I feel like comfort picks are the name of the game.
Really, yeah, for sure.
For H2k. And why not? It's worked out so well for them. Odoamne's had a whole ton of successful games on Maokai versus Gambit 3-4-9. Not a terrible score, respectable. On the other hand, the Wolves, they are going to get their hands on Graves for Freeze, so no trouble for them there. And they pick up the Lulu, which is technically that flex pick for the mid or the bot.
See in the mid lane. Normally when the Wolves pick it, it goes to Unlimited. And you have this very strong level 1-3 lane, Graves, Lulu together, who can also fast push. So even if H2k decides to lane swap, you have a strong 2 versus 0, 2 versus 1 lane to poke and take down a tower and then swap around like HK-Gaming likes to do. So
I was going to say, it's a mini SK lane.
Kinda, yeah, it is, for sure. One Forgiven and Rated has used a lot of times. So H2k and Copenhagen Wolves really getting complete comfort picks all around. Nothing new being locked in. Katarina, I don't expect to see that one. LeBlanc, however, for Rio. Zed is still open, and Soren likes to play Zed. So if that one gets locked in, I'm expecting Zed to come in. Also because Copenhagen Wolves set it up perfectly. In having Lissandra top lane, that's an AP champion already. So you can do Zed and don't risk having this only physical damage lineup. So that's going to be Zed for Soren.
Yeah, that should make a lot of sense in that situation. The Lee Sin is taken for Lulex, so H2k looking to make some plays early. We will see. I really wouldn't expect anything different than the Zed, but they do have a few other options.
Yeah, I guess the only problem is if Copenhagen Wolves do take the Zed, you don't really want to go too late game, and you already have a very mid-game focused combo with Lissandra and Graves. So that could be the worry if they are aiming, you know, not to beat H2k at their own game, which is always around these dragons, 20 minutes in, the quick roams from the likes of Kasing when he's playing Annie, Thresh, whatever. So that's going to be the risk here. Yes, you want the Zed for the lane matchup into the LeBlanc and the outplay potential, but do you want it for the late game?
That is the question. And the Wolves, they let the timer tick down quite long before they do finally settle. It looks like
Lula mid works too.
Yeah, it's not going to die very easily. You can't get 100 to 0'd on the Lulu, and they do go ahead and lock in the Morgana at the very last second.
Yeah, so Lula mid is also extremely good into LeBlanc. You should win that matchup. But we can of course see the Copenhagen will swap around. Lissandra works in that case. So there is a lot of options in terms of Morgana, Lissandra, Lula, who's going where. They can.
It's 3 flex picks. You can send them any which way you want.
And they would all do fine in the lane matchup, so...
If they take standard lanes especially, too.
Well, they even on Copenhagen Wolves side, when you have Morgana, she's one of the best top laners in a 1 versus 2 because she can always farm with a pool. And then you have that Graves Lulu we mentioned beforehand that can fast push a lane and take a tower very early. So Copenhagen Wolves are not even in a bad spot if there is a lane swap going on. They have plenty of tools here to make it work. And what's going to happen in this mid lane matchup, now we didn't get to see the Zed, we didn't get to see Lula mid lane either, is Lissandra into LeBlanc. What happens is when LeBlanc tries to distortion in, you just press W and you just snare her instantly. And she's stuck there and you will be able to trade back. She's not able to do the quick trade where she jumps in, hits you in the face once and goes back to distortion and you don't have time to react. No, you can snare her, hit her back with Q and auto attack, and then you should come out ahead in that trade.
Yeah, it's the smart move. They're going to try to pull that one off this time around. Should be a pretty exciting match. We could see Lissandra in the middle as well. Now, with those lineups all locked and loaded, let us know who you think is going to take this one by tweeting us at LOL Esports with your hashtags H2KWin or CWWin. I, for one, am very excited for this one. Deficio. Seems like the crowd is too.
Yeah, for sure.
I like it.
It's going to be a great game.
Up. Oh yeah, H2k, they've just been so fantastic. The Wolves, they've been an amazing crowd and crew as well. I want to see how this one goes. We're loading up onto the Rift. H2k versus the Copenhagen Wolves.
And remember, H2k currently 7 wins in a row. Managed to destroy the Gambit winning streak from yesterday. And now they're looking to make it 8 in a row and potentially challenge that Fnatic winning streak of 9 wins.
Well, they got to win one here today to even keep that in their sights. But you're right, they're on the cusp of it. We'll see if they can pull it off. Kasing, I mean, they haven't lost since they brought him on board.
It's really been crazy with how H2k as a team has just been completely different. It's very clear that the shot calling beforehand was a problem for them because we never saw H2k and said, okay, this is a team that wins by outsmarting the other one. This is not a team who will like roam before you or set up perfectly for a dragon or know exactly your power spikes and time them. But now, after they got Kasing, it's all they've been doing. They out-rotate you, they outsmart you, and they're winning games from it.
Yeah, it really has been a transformation for this team. For the Wolves, on their side, year over year, though, they've been looking pretty solid as well. They're going for this quick invade into the jungle, a quick trip, grab a couple of wards, get a little bit of vision, maybe a pick if they possibly can. But now they're moving back to the starting lineup. So H2k played this one out pretty safely, I feel. Didn't give up any disadvantages. Now they've
just
got
traded wards, basically. Traded wards and information. They're going to see everyone from the Wolves, and they're going for Unlimited.
Yeah, actually, there's a Lee Sin kick coming in. He's going to burn his flash as the Ignite takes his health bar down. Certainly wasn't looking for that one to start things off, so they will force that back with a couple of summoners.
That was a bit of a greedy invade at level 1 from the Wolves. I think they were looking for Odo Amne and see if he was setting up saplings on the Raptor camp. And they wanted to like ward over and try and stop him. Because if you just do a few hits, you can get him fairly low and maybe force him just to back away and not get that instant level 2. But H2k were ready for it. So they sat there, they were waiting. They saw 2 guys on the ward around the blue buff. So they know, okay, there's not 5, that's for sure. Only at max 2 or 3. And that's why we can now go with the Annie stun, force a flash from Unlimited. And it's standard lanes, so he's also going to be late for that one, which means H2k now have a massive advantage.
Yeah, and if there's one thing you can say about this H2k bot lane with Kasing in that support role now, I can't even talk about it because Soren's getting a little bit low, is that when they have the edge, they really, really put you to it. They're going to zone them back easily. They've been known to pick up the first bloods just in 2v2 situations. They make them pay for mistakes.
Yeah, and what they also do so well is Lulix will always be nearby to assist them either if they get ganked, or once they push in the wave later on and they feel like now it's time to take the tower, Lulix will show up in the lane, kill the tower. It's 3 guys, easy peasy. You push wolves away from it, you take down that tower, and then you use Yanan again as your fast pusher in the other lanes. And that's how you create a big global gold advantage. But it of course requires them to win the lane. And with Unlimited being late, not having a flash.
Oh, Airwalks is
getting close here.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
He got it.
He's cleared out the red, but yeah, talk about a dangerous jungle clear.
Yeah, this is one of the things for Jarvan in 5.4 once he lost the armor on his E. The first clear is even worse than it was before, and he was never really the best jungler at level 1, 2, 3 when he was playing the first time. So a little bit harder for him, but Airwalks did manage to get 2 buffs and the Wolf Camp, which is not the best because that means you cannot get any wards. And we can see here he just picks up a Trailblazer and a potion. Normally you always want to do like double buff 1 camp and then the Scuttle Crab, and then it gives you like some gold, or you do 4 camps. So like, so you do double buff, you do 1 camp extra, and then potentially like Raptor, and you go back to base, and so you can afford at least a green ward. In this case, he's not going to bring anything because he also swapped over to the sweeping lane. So no early wards from the wolves.
None at all. Meanwhile, back in the bottom side, Kasing takes a bit of damage there. Freeze is actually caught up, not fully to Hjarnan. He's still behind a bit of CS, but they haven't really been able to deny just by virtue of the fact that it's pretty hard to freeze a wave with Sivir.
Yeah, of course. And you can't really do it in a 2-on-2. They didn't get that far ahead to pull that freeze off. And you don't freeze against freeze.
No, it doesn't work. It's just BM.
Anyway, Lulix, level 3 on Lee Sin, been able to farm the river. No ganks yet. Early back from Soren. Got a pink ward from it, so that's the only one the wolves can place except for the trinket wards on their side. And there, we talked about Lulix being on the side of the map where they are winning, and especially once it's the bottom lane. So he's nearby now to get deep wards because he knows that Kasing and Yana can easily roam up and help him. And at the same time, this basically makes the lane super easy for H2k because they can now push, push, and push. When they have information of the enemy jungler, they don't have to worry about where he is.
Constant information too. Aerox is going to try to take a couple of shots on that pink ward, but Lulex there for the defense as well. Soren, however, is coming around the side. They're also bringing Rio. Here goes Lulex looking for a fight. The rest of H2k are coming up. Soren is a little leery of walking into a trap, and he doesn't take the glacial path. And
you can see Kasing on your minimap was moving as well, ready to join simply H2k, knowing they have the advantage in the 2-on-2 lane. That the pressure in the mid lane at this point as well, because Rio has had a good start, so Lulix can invade onto this Jarvan. He knows the backup is there, he got a few deep wards down, and might even be able to solo a dragon. Nobody's gonna come and stop him, because look at the mid lane, look at the bottom lane, it's all pushed up to their towers.
Yeah, no one's gonna be able to stop him, no one's gonna be able to even know it's happening. You see Airwalks kind of just moving through the H2k jungle, wondering where Lulix might be. He's a little bit engaged at the moment. Ryu now finding Soren. Dragon goes down at the moment. They're going to have that one revealed, and Soren is going to get popped before he can complete the path. Odoamne helps on that one.
Really not a good start for Soren in this mid lane. Ryu been farming well, and Odoamne, of course, coming down from the top lane with a kill. And one of the reasons Maokai is good against Lissandra, as we saw here, once you lock her down with the snare, you delay your Q until the claw comes out. When she's about to activate it the second time, you stun her, or you knock her up, I guess it is, with the Q, and then you basically stop her from reactivating that claw and get away. Bottom lane, the same as before. They keep trading, they keep pushing in, they have deep wards, they can see the jungle at all times, so they can deny so much farm for freeze and get damage on the tower at the same time. This is just a perfect start for H2k.
Oh yeah. It's working out quite well for them. Limited Freeze, both a little battered and bruised in this situation. Yarn's a little low on mana, so is Kasing, but he's going to be able to drop a stun there. Freeze looking for the kill, and it's actually Unlimited that it goes over to, but not before. It's going to be Freeze going down.
Both supports with the kills.
Both supports getting the kills in that situation.
But Yarn staying in the lane, can now push it in, can go back Should have enough gold for BF Sword. 55 CS is what you need once you get every single one. So he's sitting now on 1900. Obviously got an assist as well from that before. So more than enough gold for him. He also gets a perfect back timing because the wave is already pushed in, so he's not losing anything on it. Luckily for Freeze though, with the assist from him, he had enough for BF. Had he just gotten a pickaxe, then this lane would have been completely over. Tower would have died, and Freeze wouldn't be able to then follow the Sivir around and stop it from pushing another one.
Yeah, definitely gives him a little bit more breathing room.
And he just got that BF Sword. He has 70 gold left when he bought it.
Even was able to get up a couple potions as well.
Yeah, good for him.
So blue buffs taken by the mid laners as they go back to this. It has been a little bit of roams around in the mid and a little bit in the bottom side. I really, really like that early dragon taken by Lulex because they gave up nothing for it, and he was strong enough to take it. And like the Wolves are going to have like no timer on this. I mean, okay, they did get the visual, so they're going to have it because of that. But that had to have just been the most. Wait, what's going on? They got a dragon?
It's just H2k being so smart. It's at knowing where they should put all the resources on the map. And again, if you have a winning bottom lane and a winning mid lane, obviously around the enemy blue buff is where you're going to invade and place your deep wards. And once you have that control and you see the jungler's not there, you know that you can start a dragon on your own. Nobody's going to stop you. Every lane is pushed up. Just smart play. We talked earlier about Lulex coming down to the bottom lane, especially once they go for that tower. Soren is also forced back. No roaming from him. This simply means H2k will get a tower for free because Copenhagen Wolves cannot stand there. And this is exactly what we meant when Lulex would come down. Just apply pressure.
Just take a force.
Now it's time to get this outer turret. Dragon is already dead, which means we can go top lane with our Sivir and our Lulu. Sivir and Annie. Can't really steal Lulu from Copenhagen Wolves. Pushing the next one.
They can keep it up as long as they want. Youngbuck helping out on the wave clear here, but Ryu's moving forward. He goes right back, doesn't want to check into a Dark Binding. Still, Soren has to play this out oh so carefully. A big CS lead in that mid lane for Ryu, and a pretty decent-sized one as well for Hjarnan in this bottom. There's no tower for Freeze and Unlimited to fall back to, but they are still trying to push the wave back.
And they have a few good wards behind them to see if anyone is trying to flank, so they can still stay and farm. It's such a big problem when you lose a tower early to a Sivir, because she's so good at pushing lanes on her own. She can even escape with the spell shield and ulti. So for now, H2k still looking great. First dragon, first tower. I guess the problem can be this Morgana has fantastic wave clear if they do try and go top lane, so maybe mid lane is going to be the goal instead. Apply some pressure onto Soren, force him to back away, and then quickly just send you 80 carry support in there and push it. Otherwise, Ryu, I guess, is just going to do it on his own.
Yeah, he'll be able to keep that pushed in quite a while in the mid. There's a teleport on the bottom, though. Oh, instantly popping on the hunt, but Airwalks is going to jump onto Hjarnan. He throws down the Cataclysm. Here comes Freeze Unlimited and Youngbuck. Oh, not going to connect with the Dark Binding. The Tibbers for the defense. Hjarnan chugging the potion, and he's not even going to have to back here, so the Wolves don't get anything out of that.
Saved the flash as well. Just saw the teleport, popped his ulti there, escaped. Mid lane is going to go down soon for Ryu. Top lane is now taking a lot of damage because Youngbuck had to teleport to the bottom lane. So the Wolves, they tried to make a play. H2k responded instantly. We just mentioned how Sivir can escape from the likes of from these like teleport gangs. Happened right there.
You get a tower up top too.
Tower top, gonna get tower mid lane. 3 outer turrets gone. Massive early lead. You're gonna get the second dragon in about a minute's time as well, because you have the control there. You should be stronger now at this point.
So what do the Wolves have to do, really, to stop this, though? It seems like they're just giving up so much to H2k's continuous aggression.
Trade objectives for them is going to be the goal. If H2k goes down to this dragon with, like, say, 4 players, Copenhagen Wolves need to be able to have a push in the top lane at the same time and have maybe, like, 2 or 3 guys there. Try and take that top lane tower while the dragon is being taken, because you won't... If you don't want to contest it anyway, you need to get some global gold, and that should be the top lane, far away, obviously, from the dragon, so no risk of H2k suddenly collapsing on them. And that can be one of the things for the Copenhagen Wolves, or they can say we're not that bad off.
Kills.
Yeah. Soren.
Oh, Soren.
Didn't even proc the ulti from Ryu there, and he's still that low.
Yep, and now Lulex is chasing down Airwalks. This could be some trouble. He's going to get the kick and follow through. And a boot to the head will send Airwalks back to base. 13 seconds on the dragon respawn. Yeah. H2k still running the map.
It's just impossible to beat a jungler. When every lane is losing, I'm sure all the solo queue junglers can agree, when every lane is losing, you're just stuck in there on your own, and if the enemy walks in to find you, well, you're not going to do anything because nobody's going to help you. And you saw how Lulex here, he put the Q onto Airwax, and he said, okay, do you want to EQ over the wall? I'm just going to follow because I haven't activated again. And then once he realized, well, I don't really have to, just kick.
Yeah, no trouble whatsoever. No sweat, no fuss, no muss. Considering Hjarn and Lulex, they should be able to easily secure this dragon. There is no response, of course, from the side of Copenhagen Wolves. And number 2 falls neatly into their pockets.
It's going to have to be the next dragon where the Wolves potentially can try and trade a tower for it. This one is still too early in the game, and your jungler has just died. It's so awesome to see H2k play. Everything is just timed.
So
okay,
crisp.
there we go. Okay, we know we're winning these 2 lanes. Lulex, you go into that jungle, you find the enemy jungler. Oh, there he is. Perfect. Go take a dragon. We got full control, winning every lane.
And the Wolves they're really not slouches of a team by any means.
They normally win the early game.
Exactly. H2k they're just that smart. They're thinking on another level.
Well, they're playing the game correct, at least, for them. And one of the first times we have seen a team here in Europe really play like the textbook way. It's what you often see from a lot of the great Korean teams, where you can somewhat predict what they're doing because it's the right move, and that's what they're going for, and that's how they always press that advantage. H2k in Europe is doing the same thing here. And they've done it 7 games in a row. They always get that lead, they always get early towers, they always use the AD carry to roam between lanes. Now Jan is in the mid lane, pushing it in. They have dragon control. The Wolves, they need to pull off some crazy pick soon, otherwise they're going to keep losing towers.
The problem is, you've started to get into territory where Odoamne can be a pretty big front line. He's got the Righteous Glory completed. There's a lot of vision on the side of H2k, double side stones, of course. And they're just trying to make sure that they know exactly where the Wolves are at any given point. And anyone just rotates around. You see Ryu now making his move to the bottom to just clear out the minion wave. The Wolves just don't have pressure for long enough anywhere. And also, they can't do anything without being spotted. There's another ward thrown down, and they know exactly when the red buff was now taken.
Well, yeah. When you take down these outer turrets so early, it just opens up the enemy jungle for you. I mean, that's yours basically now, because it's so easy for you to walk in there. Multiple ways to get in the jungle, multiple ways to get out as well. And you can do the H2k-Gaming style, where you can now push 3 lanes at once. So when all these minions are standing at the tier 2 turrets of the enemy team, well, you get so much more information because you can see them sit and farm the minions and defend the towers. Meaning you can always count, okay, how many guys are there? Okay, there's 4 defending. I know there's maximum 1 guy at the enemy blue buff, so we can easily walk in and place a ward.
And this is just such a massive lead. You can see the damage differential there. The 2 dragons, you know, maybe that, okay, is not always going to be the biggest indicator. 3 towers, they got none on the side of the Wolves, and a 5,000 gold advantage at 15 minutes. H2k is putting that to work, too.
Yeah. And you can see how they're moving around the map here. They have the shorter route between the 2 lanes because they push them down to the tier 2 towers. So they can always get first to the enemy tower, get a few hits. Jumbuk, though, he wants to fight now.
Yeah, Odoamne, the chains, he's actually going to move really quickly away that flash to avoid the edge of the chains.
The bottom lane.
By it. But yeah, no one's contesting Ryu. He's just going to be able to free push this until Soren's there. And then Ryu anticipates this. Half his health is gone, and he's going to blink back. While the minions still do some work on here, the rest of H2k's arrived.
You can really see how Copenhagen Wolves always have to take a longer route between towers and lanes to defend.
Oh, the flash to Timbers!
He's down now.
Oh,
so
goodbye.
H2k will always get 3, 4, 5 hits on your tower before you get around to defend it. And that's how you just slowly but surely take down every single tower. Jumbuk, no, he's being jumped.
Yep, they do push him back. They should change their target to unlimited. Yeah, Timbers does sacrifice himself for the cause. They grabbed another tower, however, 4-0, and 4-1 is the death score so far, mostly just because these teams have been roving around the map as much as they can, trying not to take straight fights, but H2k's getting the better of them.
It's really been the thing about League of Legends here in this season. It's not that much about kills anymore. Because you don't get global gold from a dragon, you get a lot more by taking towers, because that's the way you really snowball your lead. That's how you get an item advantage. And it's also a lot safer, honestly, than just chasing kills over and over. No, because if you can keep moving around like this with proper vision control, there's never really a risk of you getting caught out. We saw Copenhagen was just trying to engage in the mid lane, while H2k were there, just disengaged, kept Ryu in the bottom lane. They had full control. So they're playing it really safe. There's no real room for you to counterplay it once you fall this far behind and you lose control of your jungle and your lanes.
And look who they managed to catch, too. It was just Odoamne. He's perfectly happy tanking up the front. Yeah, sure, he flashed just so he wouldn't get taken down, but they weren't even really doing that much damage to him. It was just the CC they were more worried about. Now, H2k, they're going to go back to pushing up the middle sword. He's just going to be so careful. Half of his health is already gone just from a few more shots. Ryu, even though he's only 1-0, he's really started to step up at the damage, close to his death cap completed already.
All H2k is doing now is just staying around the mid lane because Dragon is spawning in a minute's time. Once the Dragon has been taken, they're going to just put Odoamne on the top lane and keep doing this 1-4 split, but they might just get a tower mid lane first. It's already down to 50% because they've hit it so many times and Storm was back in base.
Yeah, the Wolves, they can't really fight this one now. Airwalks, again, they just keep going in and forward. Here comes Lulix. He's going to get locked up by the Frozen Tomb. Kicks Youngbuck out of the way. The collateral damage. Lulix is still alive. Finally going down to unlimited, but will the Wolves pay for this one? It looks like they might. Soren going down even after the Wild Growth. Youngbuck, Arcane smashed down. Hjarnan is the one who actually picks him up, and he follows through, flashing over the barrier. Can he pick another kill? Spell Shield on, going to get burned away.
Go,
and
Tibbers.
They're going under tower. Tibbers tanking it all up. H2k are owning the Wolves base, and it's not 20 minutes yet to Fischio.
Nope, it is not. That's going to be an open inhibitor suddenly again. 2 Dragons to 0. They're going to get another one for them once they decide to back away. The Copenhagen Wolves have just been pushed back into a corner, and there doesn't seem to be any way out.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to run out of room here. Dragon's going to be up in another 5 seconds. H2k making a beeline for it. And the Wolves, you know, they're trying to feed on the table scraps, but they're not being left anything by H2k.
They're running down, so H2k is fairly low for this one. Ryu also just used his ulti on the Dragon. If Wolves can get in time, they might be able to pick a fight. Hjarnan is out of mana. I think this is the one they should take.
Yeah, the teleport's coming in. Airwax is going to lock him up. Odoamne, Kasing a little bit low. Here comes Youngbuck. He doesn't actually connect on the binding, but they take down Kasing anyways. Odoamne looks like he's going to be the sacrificial tree. He goes down. And they don't get anything else after the fact, but you've got to make that trade, and now you got to push bot.
Yeah, so you gave them the Dragon, fair enough, but you got 2 kills. You're going to get a bottom lane tower. This is your way to at least get some gold, so you don't fall too far behind in items. We can already see how Ryu is sitting on death cap, Morello, everything, while Soren is still waiting to complete Morello Nomicon. Might even try to swap it up for an Hourglass because it's going to be the fight. We go way back, by the way. This mid lane push. Tower down, Ryu. Keep jumping in. Lulix get the first one. And now look how much Copenhagen Wolves have to invest into killing one guy. It's nearly like every ulti being used. Meaning H2k, of course, can just clean up the fight after.
Yeah, and that wasn't even one of the carries, too. So really nice cleanup for H2k. Yeah, they gave up 2. I suppose Copenhagen Wolves pretty much had to take that one, even though they weren't going to get much more than a few kills out of it. It was better than nothing. They forced the issue. And, you know, they get a little more gold in their pockets, but it's kind of stemming the blood flow at this point. H2k are just, they're pulling away so far ahead. It's 20 minutes in, 3 Dragons to 0, and a massive gold lead.
And they're just going to push out mid lane now. Potentially even go and fight for it because they are so far ahead. They're looking for Youngbuck at least.
Yep. Hopefully he can stay alive. At least that's what the Wolves are hoping, but not for long. Kasing will pick him up. An inhibitor is bare, and H2k is there. No one is going to be able to push them back off of this one. They don't even need a mini wave to even back them up because the Wolves just weren't in position in time. Ryu
already setting up the top lane. That's going to be the next target. It is scary how one small mistake when you play against H2k just get punished instantly. Youngbuck here caught out. He's dead. Unlimited. Walking in to try and stop Odoamne at level 1, remember. Meant he had to flash away. He was late for the bottom lane. And even though it had a good matchup between like Lulu Graves into Sivir, that never got to work because they fell behind at level 1 with unlimited big blade. Soren is dead.
Oh yes, he is. And Airwalks now, he's going to be dead as well. Just like clockwork. H2k take another 2 off the board. This tower is going to be going down. The Wolves, they're still trying to defend, but they're really running out of turrets fast here, Deficio.
They got 4 left.
They're running out of members.
Turrets, so yeah, they're running out of everything, honestly, for the Wolves.
Looks like it might be time as well. Here comes Lulix, who's going to go forward with the Sonic Wave. Not going to hit, but they don't need it. Just slowing them down for the smallest of moments as another inhibitor is going to go down. It's 21.5 minutes. We've got 2 inhibs down now.
Scary. Really is scary. Now, I mean, H2k has every option in the world. Do you want to go Baron once the super minions start walking into the enemy base? Do you just want to go bottom lane? Because someone has to go, probably even 2 guys from the Wolves have to go back and defend for 2 waves of super minions at your Nexus tower. I mean, there's so many options. It looks like Baron is being pinged, so yeah. Go for that one, wait for the minions to push in. Airwax has to get in position and try and steal it. Because there's no reason for him to just sit back in base anyway. You're not going to win after. The problem is H2k will have enough wards with double sidestone and a trinket to kind of spot him around and just kill him before.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tall order for the Wolves to try to do anything about this. they have to know it's happening because there's just the smallest amount of no pressure has to mean that H2k's taken something on the map. With 3 members, they're able to get it down all the way to half health. Ryu's just zoning out on the other side of the pit, jumps forward, jumps back out, just to make sure that they're not going to get this one taken away and it won't be contested. So H2k pick up a 22.5-minute Baron absolutely for free.
This might be our fastest game in the EU LCS this split.
Starting to look that way.
H2k managed to go in and just take a fight, kill Copenhagen Wolves, and finish the game within like the next minute. It's been textbook win from H2k. Everything has been correct. Push every single advantage. First dragon, first tower, winning every single lane, and punishing Copenhagen Wolves for whatever mistakes they did make.
Yeah, and those mistakes, I mean, they weren't massive. They weren't like huge errors in judgment. They were just little positional errors, everything H2k took advantage of. And the Wolves, their biggest problem this game is they were just too slow to react and too slow to just not get chunked out. H2k on the last inhibitor turret, already down to half health. Here comes Ryu Soren, his health bar. Where did it go? Looks like it's gonna be going down the frozen tomb. This looks to be the final fight. The Tibbers comes out. Kasing claims another. Youngbuck, oh so low. Airwalk's gonna follow him to the grave. The minions are all over Copenhagen Wolves base, and I think that shortest game, it just might be at Deficio. 23.5 minutes in, H2k steamroll over the Copenhagen Wolves. They don't even need to see the Nexus falling. GG boys, they take it.
What an absolutely insane game by H2k. Like, 8 wins in a row now for them as a team. Clearly, the coaching, the players, it's all working for them. And this almost guarantees them being in the playoffs if it wasn't before. Obviously, we're not suddenly going to expect them to lose 4 or 5 games in a row. And I don't want to face this team in playoffs.
No, and you know, the Wolves, they got taken out so fast, but it just seemed like they didn't make massive mistakes at all. No critical errors. They just got flat out beat.
Yeah, it was more H2k expecting everything the Wolves were doing. They were waiting for Copenhagen Wolves at level 1 to go in and stop W7D2. They were waiting right there. So once they came in, they stunned him, they killed him. Oh well, they forced the flash, delayed them coming to lane, and that was just the whole snowball starting right there. Just a small snowball, but then you push it over the edge and it just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. 23 minutes in, it hits Copenhagen Wolves in the face, and there's nothing they can do. So H2k, be super happy about this one. I do like how Copenhagen Wolves, though, whenever they lose, they still get together as a group. They don't sit down and look really sad. No, they stand up, they hug each other and say, okay.
Yeah, they do it as a team.
It's okay, let's focus on next game here, because it's a thing that we heard dentists say on the analyst desk. We have no egos, we have no superstars. We are all really good friends. We like each other, we trust in each other. So even when we lose, there's no complaining. It's just, hey guys, what went wrong? How can we fix it? Focus on next week. So I really like that from the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible week finish for them either. You know, 1-1. It just, you know, it was a rough way to lose that game, especially after how grueling their last one was in that 67-minute against Elements. But I feel like they've definitely got some good hope for them ahead. And of course, moving forward into playoffs, they're still in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah.
However, H2k, this is a team, these guys, they were just absolute dynamite this game. And you said it yourself, like, I'd be afraid to face them. It's terrifying, even for a team like SK and Fnatic. I mean, they're finding out that
remember what happened last time.
Scary, exactly.
H2k did this to SK-Gaming, just took them 10 minutes longer, but it was the same kind of game. They were in full control after killing Forgiven in the laning phase. If you make one mistake in the lane, in the 2-on-2 lane against Jan and Kasing, they kill you or they punish you, take your tower. We saw Ludix coming down, push it in, and that's how the whole thing just starts.
Exactly.
And honestly,
there's so much unpredictability too. Like,
yeah, it's hard to point out anything.
You don't know who's going to carry on the team. You don't know what they're going to be predicting of you. There's just so much going on there.
That guy right there.
And yeah, probably a big part of that has really made this team skyrocket into the standings from the Challenger Series. I mean, this is their inaugural split, and they're doing so amazingly well, especially with the addition of Kasing.
Yeah, they were the best Challenger team in the expansion tournament, but that was when they had Febiven as the mid laner. And there was so much talk about it once he left for Fnatic. Was this really... What was it going to mean for H2k as a team? And in the start, they were very inconsistent. They went like 0-2, 2-0, 0-2, 2-0. So we never really knew what to expect. We saw some good things, but there was no clear-cut like strategy or plan. And then they start talking about how there were shot calling problems. They make the change. Kasing comes in. everything suddenly works. They have not lost with Kasing 8 games in a row. Probably the best roster change all split.
I think
Safe
it's
to say,
definitely
at
been
least.
one of the most successful. So they're on the verge of tying that old Fnatic 2013 record if they take another win next week. And they're about to do that with Kasing winning every single one of those games. I mean, it's hard to understate how impressive they have looked, and you can't necessarily say how much of that's been one player addition or mindset changes of the coaches. But
sometimes there's one thing you need,
perfect.
and then it gets perfect. I mean, Season 3 Summer Split, Lemon Dogs. Started out somewhat shaky, lost a few games, won a few games. Then they made a support change. Mythic came in. And ever since that, they just became the #1 team in the LCS, and they lost maybe 2 or 3 games with Mythic only before getting to playoffs where they lost to Fnatic in the final. That's the same deal. There's like one player you were missing just to make it work. And it's been a deal with Kasing and H2k. And whoever is the mastermind behind it, it doesn't matter because they're all doing really well. They're clearly all on the same page, and that's the important thing.
They are syncing up. I mean, timing-wise even, just you look at the way they engage fights and the way that they move around for objectives. It's not just crisper. I like to overuse that word, obviously, but it just looks like it's so much in sync compared to what you saw in the first couple of weeks. Oduwamne, the Scion play that he had.
Yeah, he would go in, the other one would back
and then the Kennen, he would go in, and the team would be a few seconds behind. Somehow it just changed, and then they were all in the right place at the right time, and no team's been able to deal with it. That's what's so important about this.
And that is the thing, because when you're looking at them play, you can say, okay, they have a lead in the bottom lane. That basically means Ludus is going to invade. He's going to go bottom lane, get a tower, and they do everything by the book. And that's why it's so hard to play against, because they're not making that wrong move. They're not suddenly saying, oh, let's recall with Sivir and run top lane for no reason when the tower is not even dead yet. And then, okay, great, now Copenhagen will get back in the game or whatever. That was a terrible example. But they don't really make that big misplay where you say, here's a chance for the Copenhagen Wolves to get back in the game. And it's what they do. They've done it against SK. They've done it against the rest of the teams. I think they're just missing Fnatic. And I want to see once they face them, if they can manage to pull off the same kind of game. Because Fnatic has had a few shaky performances here and there, where H2k has just basically been looking unbeatable.
Exactly. So we'll see if they can keep going keep the train rolling at the very least. I mean, they've definitely built up an impressive performance so far, but that's enough for us. We're going to go ahead and send it over to the analyst desk, where Shox is joined by H2k's Hjarnan, and the man behind the curtain, it's Brawley.
Thank you very much, Pyrotechnics. 8 wins in a row. Congratulations. That is very, very impressive. And it also seemed like the game was very impressive. What was in your notebook? Because it was just start to finish. Pure domination. Shortest win, actually, or quickest win in the European LCS so far.
I don't think they could actually use any information I gave them. They just kind of played super well. So everything I said was just kind of like, we don't have to listen to Brawley right now. We'll just play really well. So I think that was their game plan.
Oh. Maybe it's because you don't articulate yourself very well, because I saw your tweet, these boys are playing so well, Zomagad, I love them. Is that the way you talk in Picks and Bans?
No, I was just really, really happy because it got to a point where I'm like, in scrims, it's really scary because they don't super try hard. So I'm like, oh man, we're losing all these scrims. Are they going to play like this in LCS or not? And then they come to LCS and they play like this, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to cry right now because they're just doing everything perfect. It's just really nice to see them do that kind of thing.
Yeah, Hjarnan, where does that change then come from? Do you also feel like you're underperforming in scrims and overperforming, or is just your true form?
In scrims, we don't give a fuck.
Oh.
Give a luck.
Yeah, I give a... yeah, but
yes.
we do a bit, but we don't try hard too much in scrims.
Something that's been very apparent in the last 8 games, the last 8 wins for you guys. Hjarnan, you have the most kills for an AD carry in the last 8 games. You have the least deaths. You have the best KDA of an AD carry in the last 8 games. And it's fair to say that that's a change from the beginning of the season and maybe before that as well, because people never really hyped you up as being a godlike AD carry. How have you snuck yourself in there?
Cussing.
Cussing, one word. Yeah.
No, we actually give him a lot of crap for that. Like, if he doesn't flash forward in fights when we're winning, we're like, Hjarnan, why aren't you just better? So we kind of give him a lot of crap, and so he's like, all right, fine, I'll show you. And then he flashed forward in that game, and the only reason he did that play 100% was just so we'd shut up. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yes.
That's one way to prepare, but yeah, how do you actually see yourselves in the playoffs? Because obviously you said yesterday that you take each game as it is, but the bigger picture is coming in. So how do you fare your chances against the likes of SK and Fnatic?
I mean, that's going to be like best of 3s and stuff, right? No longer best of 1s. So preparing will be a lot more fun and rewarding. Like right now we're preparing each game at a time. So it's kind of like the level of thought is kind of shallow. But for playoffs, like we have this entire week to start talking about it. But it's going to be really fun because everyone gives me input about picks and bans. So now we're going to be able to prepare for like a big set together. So I'm excited for that transition from best of ones to now we get to do harder stuff.
We actually had a discussion before this game, basically centered it around, is H2k the best team in Europe? I think you could be up there. Trevor definitely thinks you could be up there. How do you see that as like a goal to achieve? Because yesterday you said, oh, we take it one game at a time, but I think it's maybe time to stop downplaying. You guys are really freaking good.
Yeah, you guys are pretty good, right? I think so.
It's only probably.
Yeah, it's mostly me. But really, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say we're the best, because the second you start thinking you're really good at something, you're just going to get worse. So I'll just keep insulting them all week, and hopefully we'll improve off of that.
Right. TLDR, it's Prolly and it's Kasing. It's all you. You guys have been doing great. Congratulations. 8-game winning streak for H2k. Coming up is our final match of the day between Gambit and Giants. Will Gambit bounce back from yesterday's loss, or will Giants pad their record to stay out of 10th place? Stay tuned and find out.
Oh yeah, H2k, they've just been so fantastic. I want to see how this one goes. H2k versus the Copenhagen Wolves. Now Airwalks again, they just keep going in and forward. Here comes Lulix, he's gonna get locked up by the Frozen Tomb. Kicks Youngbuck out of the way, the collateral damage. Lulix is still alive.
Unlimited played, Story's dead.
Oh yes, he is. And Airwalks now, he's gonna be dead as well. Now here comes Rio Soren, his health bar. Where did it go? Looks like it's gonna be going down the Frozen Tomb. This looks to be the final fight. The Timbers comes out. H2k steamroll over the Copenhagen Wolves.